Hey everyone, I am MSK, aka Master Swag King, coming at you guys today with another video. And if you guys are returning viewers or new viewers, then please consider subscribing to the channel if you have not already. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it and comment down below. Also, make sure you guys hit that notification bell. That way you guys can get notified on whenever I upload a brand new video or go live. And in today's video, we are going to be talking about Robert Downey Jr., aka the Iron Man, who was Marvel's Iron Man from 2008 all the way up until 2019 with Avengers Endgame. As you guys know, the MCU began with him and, theoretically speaking, ended with him. Actually,
in retrospective, kind of ended with him too. It died with Tony Stark.
So, as everyone knows this about me, obviously, I love Iron Man, the character. Obviously, the push from the movies really helped with that. Like, when I first watched it back in the day, I was like, I didn't like this very much. Maybe I was in a bad mood. And then I bought Iron Man on DVD from, like, a liquor store that's, like, over there still. And I watched it by myself when I think my mom and brother left to go do something.
Dude,
and I was like, I absolutely fell in love with it. I was like, this movie fucking kicks ass.
It still holds up, like, really well, too. Like, you watch it today, it looks better than, like, half of the shit Marvel puts out, even today.
Yeah. And for me, that's always been a top 5 MCU movie ever.
Oh, yeah.
Because my top 5 MCU movies, obviously, Civil War, people know is my favorite. Then it's Winter Soldier. Then it's The Avengers. Then it's Iron Man. And then I guess it's been hard picking a 5th one. I think it's been the first Guardians movie. That's been like the 5th one for a long time.
I would say for me, it'd be a toss up between Guardians and like Infinity War or something like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love that first Thor movie. I think it does the Thor character really well as well. His mythos with Kenneth Branagh, I think he did a great job there. But as you guys know, with RDJ, over the years, some people need to understand, when you do something so much, eventually you might still love that thing you're doing, but it becomes so tiring. Like, you factor in, even before the first Iron Man movie dropped, you have to factor in you have to film a year in advance. We technically have been playing Iron Man since 2007. Actually, when you go to filming, gets casted. People know the hero story that he went through from being basically a degenerate until the Iron Man stuff happened. Well, Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3, The Avengers, Age of Ultron. He
was a rich degenerate.
Yeah, he was in Civil War. He was in Infinity War, Endgame. He was in Homecoming. Actually, people need to factor in his contract had already ran up, I think, around Avengers 2 or Iron Man 3, and they had to exponentially pay him a lot of more money just to appear in Civil War, which wasn't the original idea. That was more of a reaction from BVS, but Marvel ended up winning that battle later on. They paid him a shitload of money to come back in Homecoming, Infinity War, Endgame. He just made absolute just killing there. Actually,
They made it possible for Robert Downey Jr. to literally wipe his ass with $100 bills and get away with it.
And I've always told people this, even when I saw Avengers Endgame, and I had this feeling they were going to kill off somebody, and they killed off Iron Man and Captain America, technically killed off and Black Widow. I never liked the idea of killing off Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man for several reasons. So as I told you guys earlier in the video, the Iron Man movie, outside of watching it the second time where I really loved it, it led me down to kind of go over some of his comic stories, like Demon in the Bottle, Extremis. There's so many. Obviously, there's Armor Wars. There's so many great stories this character has. Killing off the character makes no sense because, first of all, he's your biggest breadwinner in the MCU by far, outside of like single other characters and Avengers movies. He literally can draw in $1 billion worth of revenue for a movie. Okay. Killing him off made no sense at all, other than maybe RDJ was like, they could kind of feel it from maybe they were directing him and seeing him act. Maybe they felt he was just a good time to retire. Obviously, I don't know the reasons why he retired for playing Iron Man at the time that he did, but as a fan, as someone who likes the character, who likes the Iron Man comic book character as well, Iron Man is a part of like so many great stories in the comic books. A lot of them. They didn't even touch his good ones, even in the movies. And people say, didn't they do it with Iron Man 2 and 3? They really didn't. It was pretty bad. Iron Man 3 doesn't count as an extremist story. They really treat the man like straight shit in that movie. There's so much great things there with him. Killing him off, to me, has always been a mistake. Always was a bad idea.
In retrospective, it probably wasn't the smartest decision considering where Marvel has gone. But I think back in 2019, it made sense from the point of view that, just from the gut punch and emotional reaction it would get from people. Because literally, like you said, the MCU started with this guy. You've been following this guy, all these years up until now. You want this movie to feel impactful. You want it to have stakes, and you want it to feel like, holy shit, these guys are literally fighting to save the universe. And in a fight like that, there's probably going to be some sacrifices that have to be made. So why not have, the hero we've been following all this time, arguably the ultimate hero of the MCU, go out on his back, taking one for the team to save the universe. And make the ultimate sacrifice. For me, it kind of makes sense. But like I said,
there was a lot of moments leading up to it. Remember in the original Avengers movie, the 2012 one, he says, "Are you going to be the guy to do all that and stuff like that?" There was moments that led up to it. I think it's the aftermath that happens, right? So after he stopped appearing in the movies, I mean, there's a lot that goes with it. Obviously, Disney and Marvel, they killed their own brand essentially. They don't have any strong players. Who is their strongest player currently right now?
Here's the thing.
Benedict Cumberbatch?
Here's
Tom
the
Holland?
thing. I could make the argument that back, before let's say after Spider-Man Far From Home.
Right, because that ends phase 3. Yeah.
Yeah, that ends phase 3. I would say they probably could have made an MCU going forward work if they hadn't executed everything the way they've had so far. Like, because you want to talk about heavy hitters. I mean, you still had a lot of people around that could carry films. I mean, Spider-Man has proven that, he can still carry a film. Doctor Strange, because he only had one film at the time, and, it had already been announced basically we were going to get another one. That was a given.
Chadwick Boseman sadly passed away. I think he could have carried the second one.
But here's the thing about Chadwick Boseman.
Big old fat bud.
Even after he passed, in retrospective, they probably should have recast him. That way,
you have a star player.
People could still have a star player in T'Challa.
Yeah, because I don't know if you watch sports, dude, but a reason why a lot of these big teams have a lot of people that are willing to pay big money to see people, you pay to see big stars. People were willing to pay big money to see this guy. We're talking like opening numbers on levels that have not been replicated since then. He was a big money draw for them. So they traded this guy out or told the Russo brothers to kill him off to gain what? What have they gained since having him gone? Nothing.
To shoehorn in a side character and try to make her, the next big star when she was never really a big star to begin with.
Just keep in mind, like you just said right there, if you're gonna do all that, you need to have something level of a backup, right? So you lose your star player RDJ, you lose Captain America, you don't have Scarlett Johansson anymore, which she was never a draw herself. The stars are gone, right?
It is kind of fucked up that Chadwick Boseman literally had to die just so they could make Shuri the next Black Panther. They literally made it seem like, oh, well, this is what Chadwick would want. We're doing this for Chadwick. We're doing this to carry on Chadwick's legacy. No, you're just using this as an excuse to go, well, our main star died and we probably had backseat plans on replacing him with a woman anyway. What better time to do it now that the motherfucker's dead? Hey, bring her in.
Because I know, people in the group like to use this argument, and I don't disagree with it. It's just that, but that's not the reality that happened. Because the reality that a lot of you guys bring up is like, well, if they did everything well, and if a unicorn had appeared, we don't live in that world. They didn't do it good. No, they didn't do it right at all. Didn't. And actually, to be fair, how would they have? They lost their biggest draw. They willingly killed off their biggest draw character. There was no way it was going to work because, dude, in the comics, it also didn't work. In the comics, they tried doing it, and they literally flipped it back as fast as they did it. because they're like, no one bought that shit, no one cared. So why in the comics they see that happen and go, you know what, in the movies this is a good idea too, we should do that, right? Because it worked out so well for us in this other medium that barely sells anything. It wasn't going to work. It never was going to work, because the reason why you have no big stars to draw people. And this is back in the day. It's 2019. Holy shit. This is back when movie stars could draw in a crowd. Well, he technically even himself couldn't, because, Doolittle that came after that. But in theory, this is just the MCU stardom that brought people in, right? So then he was on the Joe Rogan podcast after Doolittle bombed, which was, oh my God, maybe Joe Rogan was just fucking with him then.
all of a sudden, the Eddie Murphy movie is not that terrible anymore.
He had RDJ on the show for Joe Rogan, and he mentioned, is the door open to playing Iron Man again? He didn't say anything. He smirked. Joe Rogan said, I think you come back. After a few lackluster Avengers movies, did that take age so well. Damn. He smiled. He didn't answer. I remember that interview very well. Obviously, I'm going to watch anything RDJ is going to be part of for the most part. Like, that's the thing is, I know people, subscriber Invader, I love Invader. Invader's awesome. Mm-hmm. The problem that he brings up this point too, if they didn't do it well. They didn't do anything well, really. Actually, they didn't do anything good. They've been doing shit for the most part. The only project that they did good is No Way Home, Guardians 3, and you said X-Men. 3 projects out of like how many that we've consumed?
I would sidebar in Doctor Strange a little bit, just because I got a soft spot for Multiverse of Madness. That's just me, though. But most of the shit they've put out ever since Endgame has not been that great at all.
And that's the thing is, Iron Man was a character people were willing to pay money for. And here, I'll give you guys an example of this. Okay, I don't have my wallet next week. Just pretend this is my wallet. People always do this thing where it's like, oh, that sounds like a good idea. Yeah, I want that underrated character to get a movie. I'll go watch it. It is proven that they don't. That's not debatable. They don't watch. He's a character people willingly opened their wallet, their buttholes for, and gave them money. A lot of it, too. Because Bob Iger, he was like, well, we're going to focus on our stronger franchises again. What stronger franchises do you have? You killed off Iron Man. Iron Man 3 literally is a terrible film, and it brought in $1 billion.
Yeah, here's the thing for me. I would not mind. I wouldn't really mind seeing Robert Downey Jr. come back as Iron Man if the MCU was not in the state that it's in right now.
Yeah, because I know you mentioned this before, is that you think they're going to bring him back to kind of fix the ship that they're in right now, only for that reason.
It's like trying to fix the sinking Titanic with fucking duct tape and hot glue, man. It's not gonna. I don't think they can, and it's because like we. Oh no, you can't fix the Titanic with that. That shit's sinking. well, it's like we talked about when we were talking about X-Men. Brand damage. Shooting yourself in the foot. They've shot themselves in the foot so much to this point that people are just turning away. And at this point, bringing back Robert Downey Jr., yeah, it's cool. I like Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. But the thing is, you've put out so much bullshit that just by doing that, it's going to feel like a cop-out. It's going to feel cheap. It's just going to be them going, hey, guys, look, do you remember this thing that you guys, all know and love? Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man? Yeah, he's back. Doesn't that make y'all want to come to the movie and give us all your money
But that's the thing, dude, is that if they had never killed him off, that wouldn't be a thing, right? If they didn't kill him off, they wouldn't have that. And the thing you brought up earlier, which I don't disagree with, is when they made the decision to kill him off in Endgame, because ultimately it does kind of come from them, even though the directors say they did it. Yeah. When they killed him off, now people are going to be like, well, that moment in Endgame kind of means less. Yeah, that's why you shouldn't have killed him off.
Yeah.
When you killed him off, I can't disagree with people. I can't disagree with that.
And you could look at it from the point of view that, people die in comics and come back all the fucking time. But
average people aren't going to understand that. That's the thing is, average people won't understand that.
But like I said, I wouldn't mind it as much if the MCU was not in the state that it's in. Let's say that let's just say there's a parallel universe out there somewhere where the MCU did not go in the direction that it's going now. Every movie they've put out, after Endgame was just as good as, the movies that all came out before Endgame. And then, you get to Kang Dynasty or Secret Wars or whatever the fuck they're calling it at this point. And then he shows back up. Dude, people would lose their fucking minds. They would go ape shit. They would eat that shit up. But because you have effectively destroyed your brand and have made the fans turn against you, like I said, even if they do it at this point, it's not going to feel earned. You can't keep feeding us bullshit and then expect everybody to just try and flock back to you because you want to try this one thing that you think is going to make
Yeah.
everybody come back to you.
Yeah, because that's the thing too, as well, as you brought up, is that like he's not even if this did happen and he did come back randomly in a film or an Avengers movie or in another person's movie or wherever they're gonna do this at. If they're because listen, talks are always happening. We know that. Like they're always trying to do something.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing here is none of this feels earned in any way. People are like, what do you mean by that? They are in such a state, everyone, where most of their movies have
They're
not been doing
desperate.
well. Yeah.
They are
This isn't like, hey, the MCU was thriving after him. No, the MCU is not thriving after him or Chris Evans. You can even say Chris Evans, actually. The movies have not been thriving without him or Cap because people do not have characters they care about to go see anymore. They've been thrusting down your throat characters you probably never even heard of. And to use logic like, well, if they had written them very well, that doesn't matter. You don't even know who the fuck those characters are. How would you even know if they're written well?
You could make the argument they were thriving for like maybe a year and a half, like after all of that. But once again,
debatably, probably
debatably, but
yeah.
Once again, just the decline they've gone on, it's just this would not make sense in my head at all. I honestly, if they did this shit, I would probably be more upset than actually excited because it's like at that point it's like how fucking dare you? How fucking dare you think I'm that small-minded or that dumb to think that you're doing this, just for the member berries? No, you're doing this as a cheap cop out to try and get people in the theater seats.
Robert Downey Jr. revealed he is surprisingly open-minded to the idea of returning as Iron Man. He was fucking Hollywood. He was being interviewed by this one white woman or whatever. That's all I remember because this is the only thing memorable from the interview. He says, and I quote, "It's just crazily in my DNA. Probably the most like me character I've ever played, even though he's way cooler than I am." He's coming back. I just don't know when. Disney has to offer him a fuckload of money to come back, though.
Fuck him.
Truckloads.
The screen with everybody
have you seen
else.
a semi truck? I know you've seen semi trucks before. That load truck,
dude,
they're semi truck of money.
They're gonna give this man so much money that no one else is gonna be able to star in the movie because they've given Robert Downey Jr. all the money.
He should only return in voice cameos for Ironheart.
No. Nobody
wants that show. No one wants that trash.
Nobody wants that. Sorry.
Like, and this is the other thing to bring up with all of this.
Hold on.
Yeah,
bring that back up real quick. I think I just saw.
What am I, your slave? I'm just kidding. Okay, like that.
Right. Might need to go down just a little more. Yeah. Right there. Our movie guy, I really hope they don't bring him back. His story ended perfectly. No reason to mess it up now. Like you said, it would just completely undo everything that they built up and did in that film, dude.
Or we live in a world where they didn't kill him off and you saw other great stories from the Iron Man character. Well, we got this one we're in right now where they did kill him off, actually. So now they're in this position where they killed off their main character only to potentially bring him back to lessen a moment that happened 5 years ago. Now,
right.
I'll pose this as an argument for people. Let's say you had a Justice League movie and Batman was killed off. Would a lot of you guys still go watch a Justice League movie without Batman? Like, I know there's other heavy hitters there, which probably still might give some money. But
now, are you saying this with the notion that in some alternate universe somewhere they made a bunch of movies that led up to a proper Justice League movie, and not
that didn't happen in this universe?
Exactly,
exactly.
Because in this universe, if Batman had gotten shot in the fucking face and died in those movies, I probably wouldn't have cared, honestly.
Yeah, because that's the thing, dude. It's like, I understand that Batman is oversaturated to a certain degree, but let's be honest here, people drop a lot of money on Batman products. They just do. It's proven. Yeah. So if there's a Justice League movie ever later on when we're alive and I have 5 kids and I'm married to a hot white woman, obviously, this is real, guys. I'm projecting this into reality. If they killed off Batman, people say, would you feel this? Yes. Killing off main characters like that has many, many, many implications for it. I know you're not too familiar with comics, but people bring up like Crisis on Infinite Earths in the comics and they bring up the fact that Barry Allen died and people did not like how they kind of lessened that impact of him dying back then when
Yeah.
they brought him back in the comics. The same thing, guys. People need to understand killing off a character like his caliber essentially puts the universe in this state.
Mm.
Either you're gonna do just as well without him, or you're not. And they did
Well,
bad
not
without him,
well,
like really
not
bad.
just well, not just him. You know, I mean, even Captain America. I mean, they technically didn't kill him off, but they retired him, and he hasn't been in anything ever
He
since
got a
then.
horrible out too. He got a
I
terrible out.
but you know
Yeah.
what? Here's what I would say.
Mhm.
If let's just say if they wanted to kill him off, you know, that's fine. You know,
Mhm.
you want to kill him off, you want to retire Captain America, you know, you want to kill off Black Widow, and you want to build up all these stakes for this big grand
Mhm.
finale that you've been building for 10 years. Fucking great. But here's the thing. It feels like a closing chapter for just that particular era of Marvel. If that was the ending to this whole MCU and it just ended there and they stopped making movies after that, it could probably work. But like you said, after Endgame, they continued to make movies and eventually they've, you know, continued to make the shows and they haven't had many heavy hitters because, Robert Downey Jr.'s name drew people in and,
A
people
lot of
loved
people.
that
Yeah.
a lot of people and people loved that character. And
Yeah.
now we're in this weird kerfuffle where they're trying to bring in these new characters that nobody really cares about and just telling really bad stories with them, quite
These aren't
frankly.
even
Like,
characters people even halfway know. Like
yeah,
yes, people. I agree that if you brought in like B tier characters that have some name value to them, it can work. But it also, then the second part is written decently well. They are bringing in characters that people do not even give a fuck about on even comic level and consider them like F tier or D
y-
tier.
you,
These are
you
so obscure characters. There, then the numbers can't be there. I understand giving
honestly,
underrated characters shine. I understand that, but
yeah,
the risk of doing that is you are making movies for characters nobody knows.
yeah,
Nobody knows these
honestly,
characters.
two characters I really thought had potential were Moon Knight and She-Hulk, just because they, quite frankly, have
They have the name
followings.
value. Yeah,
Yeah,
they have the followings. Yeah.
they have value. They have followings. They have their fans that
Mhm.
people know who these characters are, and you could probably do something with those characters, but they didn't do basically anything with them except kind of turn them into either jokes or just pale imitations of what they actually are in the comics.
Mhm.
And then they're making stuff like Ms. Marvel. Now, look, say what you want
Who
about
wasn't
Kamala
even
Khan.
popular in the comics at all. No
Yeah,
one cared for her.
it's up for debate because I've
Yeah.
talked to people who actually like Kamala Khan as a
Mhm.
character, and I've talked to people who don't like her at all. But once again, it falls under the vein of characters that the masses really don't know that much about. So they're just kind of like, well, we don't really know who this character is, and we don't care. We just want to watch Captain America and Iron Man beat the fuck out of some aliens for 45 minutes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and like I mentioned before with people, they made this decision and it was bad. I didn't like it then, I don't like it now, and oh my god, they're coming back to the guy that brought in them truckloads of money. Who'd have thunk? Who'd have
Well,
thought that
let,
killing off the character that brought you in billions of dollars, literally, killing him off made sense only to bring him back? Fuck, man, I am writing checks to the bank at this point now.
let me ask you a question.
Fuck you.
What would you have different feelings about the way he was killed off if the MCU had just stopped there?
Ugh. Because the problem is, I know because there's still so many great stories his character is involved in. Like they're just not even
Okay.
able to use him. Like Secret Invasion, he's a massive part of that on a
Well,
decent
hold on.
level, and they can't even
Well,
have that him in that.
well,
You know?
exclude the comics and
Yes.
just think about the movies as a whole from the story they've told from Iron Man
Oh,
1
you're
all the way
basically
till
saying
now.
in a hypothetical world that if I don't like the way he's killed up, but if the movies did well and they built up something good, would it still? I could bypass it a little bit if the product that came out after he was in was actually pretty good.
Mhm.
Probably to some degree. I wouldn't overwhelmingly love it, the idea of him being killed off. But I'd be like, okay, at least they proved me wrong. Because the idea of me being proven wrong is, did they do well without him being there? But everything without these original Avengers have been pretty bad for the most part, you know? So,
Aside from Spider-Man and Doctor Strange, which is still passable in my opinion. Yeah. I mean, not much. I mean, Wakanda Forever. I mean, it had a cool villain in Namor, but other than that, there's nothing memorable about that movie at all.
All right. Sure. Closing thoughts on this. You think RDJ's coming back, man? You think he'll be doing it eventually?
Dude, all they would have to do is look at Robert Downey Jr. and go, "All right, man, how much do you want?" And they'd probably give it to him because, like we've discussed, they're desperate at this point. They're desperate for anything. They're desperate for anything that they can do to get people back in the movies to see their movies again. Dude, I've seen every single MCU film in the theater up until last year when the Marvels came out. Didn't see the Marvels because kind of like, the masses and kind of like, the normies that, fell in love, with the MCU. I'm just done. Like, there's no reason for me to continue watching and bringing back, a character that I know and love, that I literally sat in the theater and mourned, cried, wept for when they fucking killed his ass off. You're going to try and bring that guy back in the cheapest, just nonchalant way to try to, just fool people to get back in? No, sorry. You're not fooling me. This is nothing more than a cheap cop-out.
It's a desperate attempt for a cash grab.
Yeah, it's just a desperate attempt for a cash grab because they are out of fucking ideas and they're like, well, let's just go back to the stuff that worked before. In an alternate universe, you could do that and you could make it work. But the thing is, you've shot yourself in the foot so many fucking times that people like me are just completely turned off by the idea. I mean, if they want to bring him back, cool, but I can't promise anyone, or especially them, that I'm going to enjoy it.
Yeah. And for me, you guys know my general thoughts about Iron Man, the character. Obviously, the show is named. If anyone doesn't know the Iron Man podcast, I wonder where that name came from. I wonder, right? So
I wonder how they're connected.
Well, for me, as I said this many years ago, I didn't like when they killed him off. I thought it was stupid. I didn't think it would go well for them. Damn, man, I feel so vindicated now. My mind has expanded so much in knowledge since then.
Seriously, like when I say I
sat, who'd have thought removing the character not only brought them money, people love seeing it at the theaters. Crazy thought, people removing him and killing him would make fucking things worse.
Well, honestly, I mean, I see your point, but there's a lot of other things factoring in that have just made things worse.
I want to be super hyperbolic because that's gonna make people angry at me in the comment section. Actually,
right? They're like, you fucking dumbass. It's not Robert Downey Jr. It's these shitty ass writers.
People have been so much better without him being in the movies, right? Like none of y'all ain't paying to watch this shit. People will pay to watch RDJ.
Now, we're not saying he needs to shove his ass into every single MCU project ever.
Yeah.
But I mean, just the quality and downgrade of what we used to have before is definitely evident. Him not being there is just kind of like the cherry on top of the shit cake. So.
Yeah, for me, I think he's gonna come back. I'm pretty sure he is. It's just a matter of when. Just a matter of basically negotiating, and he goes, how much? They go, we want you back, RDJ. He goes, how much? That's all you say. That's why he has so much negotiating power right now. He can get any amount of money he wants. Bob Iger goes, hey, I'm sorry I killed you off. Our franchise is literally dying without you. He goes, how much? That's literally all. There needs to be no discussion. He just needs to ask for a money number.
Let's just say that Secret Wars rolls around and he does come back, and Secret Wars ends up being shit, even though he's in it. At least I can say from 2008 to 2019, and even the few cherry-picked things that happened afterwards, at least I got those. At least I got my MCU that I love. It, like all this other bullshit that they're doing, I can kind of ignore and just pretend never happened.
Yeah, and thank you guys for checking out this video. If you're a returning viewer or new viewer, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it and comment down below. Also, make sure to hit the notification bell. That way you guys can get notified on whenever I upload a brand new video or go live. I'm MSK, aka Master Swag King. We're signing out.